Well, hello everyone. How you doing? Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. So, beautiful morning here. It's almost 9 o'clock. I guess I need to get my day going. It's a Saturday though. I sure like sleeping in a little. Isn't that funny? Yeah, I'm usually my 5 days a week. I'm up early, and I enjoy getting up early, even if it's dark out. 5:30, 6 o'clock. I really like that. It's just something about the fresh day and energy and I don't know, everything about it. I really like it. But Saturday and Sunday, sleeping into 7 o'clock is also kind of nice. So I don't know. Anyway, so generational wealth. Yeah. So, what's funny? I noticed it had nothing to do with generation wealth, I don't think. So in normal, I don't, my, I'm winking to you. I notice that when I'm doing the videos, see my eye. What the heck is that? A video twitch? Oh my gosh! Oh no! I got video twitch. I'm gonna have to go on disability. I got video twitch. Oh gosh! Craziest thing their bodies do. Anyway, that's not why you're here to listen to my antics. Hey, so I was sitting there for some reason. I was curious. Life insurance, you know, just thinking about this whole generational wealth. So it got me to think. I see there's so many people that I maybe I haven't really talked to people that have a little bit more money, in depth of what they do for their life and insurances and stuff. And it's not financial advice. I'm recording my opinions and my journey. But trying to make sure I word this right. I'm not trying to, you know, group anyone or offend anyone or to put down a market. I think the insurance has its purpose, and I think it has probably helped or saved a lot of families. So I think it's important. But I've talked to people. It seems like when I talk to people, they'll be like, "Yeah, I got this life insurance because I'm worried. My daughter. I gotta leave my daughter money, or my son. My children. They've got to be left money." Like, they don't need to be left money. You need to take care of yourself. I guess that's my whole thing of generational wealth and thinking differently. And a lot of times it's maybe women, maybe it's men too. I don't know. I mean, I kind of just feel like it's that scarcity. I'm not probably saying that word right, but that lack. People that are lacking, and then they don't want other family members to lack. But they'll be making this payment, and then they'll sit there and tell you how they're struggling. They're making their payments, but it's a little tough, right? They'll be like, well, it was a little tough this week because I had to pay the mortgage payment, or I had to pay the car payment, or whatever, you know. But they're paying this insurance payment. Like, I don't know. I just don't get that. I don't get it. I don't. I'm not saying it's wrong for anybody to take out life insurance. I just don't get it. Anyway, so it brought me right for the generational wealth. I was curious. So I went to AI. I use AI, AI sure is really hard for me because I really think that it's bad. I don't think AI is good for us at all. I think our government is so slow to do anything that a lot of people called for them to do regulation for AI a long time ago. And so then they don't, and then it just gets bypassed, and so much stuff that's happened, and there's been so much in the news that's been good or bad about it. And I think we're going to end up messing ourselves up with jobs and stuff. And I think that our government should have stepped in and did something. because I don't think, us humans, we're just more into the greed of what's this going to make for us, and we're going to make a bunch of money, these companies, and I don't think they really care looking at that. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but I use AI though for a lot of my testing. So I like it because I can say, hey, can you compare this and this? And it gives me the answer really quick rather than having to try to figure it out myself. I like it for any of my energy work that I can turn around and I can use one of the energy AIs and I can say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. What or like doing any of my testing, like I'm going to give me a test and it gives me answers that are blind or questions that are blind, and I can answer them, and then it comes back and says, no, you're right or you're wrong. And so it's kind of neat. I mean, it has the purpose, I guess, and especially if you're writing a letter, right? It's just so easy. But anyway, so I'm going to digress on that. That's a whole nother probably episode. But anyway, so I did a comparison. Let's get back to our thing of life insurance and generational wealth and what my thoughts are. So if I took a baseline for the average person in an average health, whatever, let's say they took out a $500,000. Everyone seems to be into these IULs, which is the Index Universal Life Policy. So these IUL policies, let's say it was $500,000, and I'm not insurance licensed, I'm not anything. This is just my personal opinion, personal journey thoughts. So the annual premium, who knows what they would be, right? But let's just say if they're in their 40s, I'm just going to guess, right? We're going to guess that the average person is probably paying maybe $5,000 a year, right? And let's just say that it builds up cash value after 25 years. So 25 years, I'm just saying, let's say it's, $150,000, $200,000 that's accumulated for cash value. Let's take the higher number, $250,000. So after 25 years, they've got this $250,000 accumulated life insurance policy. But if you turn around and if the same person took the money and they bought a house and they rented the house out, and right, they're renting the house out, so they probably wouldn't have the expense because they probably would even make a profit, $100 or $200 a month. But let's just say that they didn't. Let's say that they lost the 5,000. It cost them the same. I mean, and it's a business write-off for the taxes. I don't think they're going to lose anything, but it might be 1 or 2 months per year that they lose, or people trying to rent it. Who knows? Maybe they got to fix a dishwasher. I don't know. But after 25 years, they probably would have a remaining mortgage. If they bought a house, let's say they bought a $350,000 house, which is the average U.S. home price, and if they're paying probably 30-year mortgage at 7% interest rate. So, after 25 years, they probably owe like 100, 125, let's say $150,000. But that house probably with the, because there's an annual appreciation, right? Your house goes up in value and you're paying down on the mortgage from the renter that's paying you. So that house now is probably worth $850,000. And if you take away the remaining mortgage, they've got probably about a $600,000 to $700,000. Let's say $700,000. Let's say $600,000, right? Let's just say it's a bad market, a bad 25 years. It's still a big difference, $600,000 versus the $250,000 to $200,000. Let's say that's 200. So it's a $400,000 difference. Now, if they die, yeah, they've got that $500,000 life insurance, but they're not going to get the 500,000 probably and the 250. They're probably just going to get the 500 probably. I don't know. I used to be into life insurance stuff, but I'm not licensed and I'm not going to give advice on that. So, but I'm just saying that if you might be able to say it's the same, but I really think you're better off with a house. I mean, it just seems to me that, you've got the guaranteed death benefit of $500,000, and yeah, there's a cash value. So, If you pass away, you're going to get 500. If you don't pass away, you've got maybe 250. But your house, you've got, by the time you take off the remaining mortgage, you've got like $700,000. It just seems to me that the house is a win, no matter how you want to look at it. I don't know. So I guess that's the things. It's the generational wealth from my journey, right? Is thinking about these things. I know a couple of people, one of them, they were like, oh, I got to have life insurance for a family, and they don't have much money. But they're going to pay like $200 or $300 a month for life insurance because they want to leave it to their kids. And I'm like, well, if you taken and went and bought a house, if buying a house, I don't think is really good financial thing for yourself. On my personal opinion, it's okay, but it's more of a lifestyle, but if you rent it out, it's an investment. You're going to make some good money off of it because you're not making the payment. But even if you buy it for yourself, you're still going to be probably better off, I bet, than you are with a life insurance policy. Now, if you've got a lot of money and you've got a lot of investments and you're doing really well, I could see having both, right? Yeah, if you can afford it and you could do both, but the average person, I don't think, can do that. Maybe they can. I don't know. But it just seems to me that, I don't know, I don't see them doing that. I don't know what the difference would be. See, now compare buying a house over investing in stocks that pay dividends and have many years of dividend growth. So that would be kind of interesting. The rental scenario is the same thing. Let's just say you've got roughly $700,000. And then if you do it in some of these stocks that we've been talking about, like J&J, PG, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, McDonald's, HD, I think that's Home Depot. And Cat, I kind of like Cat, in Caterpillar. Anyway, rental house is like $700,000. And so your portfolio, if you get a 10% annual growth and the market goes up and you've got your dividends, that 25 years, it looks like your dividend stocks would be 660 to 720 and your house would be $700,000. So either way, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see the life insurance aspect of it. I don't know. I think in certain circumstances is good. Maybe if you're older and you don't have any of that stuff, you got a shorter period of time and you think, in 10 years you might be, then probably it's worth it. You're not doing the average. You're kind of beating the odds, I guess. And I guess that's with anything in life, right? If you're just timing, right? I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? But I think so far it seems to me that a house and the stocks seem to both be almost equal. And so I think those two is what I'm finding. And then I don't know about business. Like, have you just thought about a business? I've always wanted to have a pizza place. I don't know why. I think because I think of pizza as less expensive to make, and it's everybody loves pizza. I don't know. Someone was saying they liked a wing kind of place, and I thought that would be a good mixture. Would be pizza and chicken wings, you know. Even sell maybe some chicken wings, barbecue. Oh man, I like good barbecue. Yeah, I could see barbecue. But barbecue, you've got to really have a good chef. Like, it seems to me if your barbecue food is just okay or not so good, you've got to have some good. You got to have someone that knows how to make barbecue food. Pizzas, like, right? You throw in the dough, throw in some cheese, some sauce. Heck, you got young teenagers making it. It comes out fine. I mean, I guess you can have burnt crust. I don't know. Oh, or it comes out too early. I don't know, but um, yeah, but I kind of like the pizza. I kind of like barbecue, but you got to know someone that knows how to do the good barbecue food. Um, Restaurants, I think, are like the highest failure rate. I think someone once said that like 10, 15 years ago. It may have changed. This is not any kind of financial advice. I have no idea what I'm saying, but yeah, I think I remember they were saying it was like 70%. It's pretty high. So I'm not quite sure about, whether those are good investments. Um, but I do like, pizza. I think pizza, barbecue food, chicken, wings, that kind of food. Seems like people are always really wanting that. It's food that you can take out, go eat at home, do whatever. It's a good thing if you got kids. I mean, just yeah. I think that's good. I like that kind of investing. I don't know what it is for buying one and what kind of profit you make. I'm interested in wanting to learn more about that. I think if you get into a business that you have to do, I don't think that's good. I think it's something that shouldn't really require your time, right? If we're doing generational wealth, I mean, that's your whole thing is trying to build up, not so that you're rich, you know. I don't know. I kind of look at it like I'm not sure what the difference is between rich and wealthy, but it seems to me that I remember somebody saying if you're rich, you can afford to buy things, you can afford to do things, but you have limits. If you're wealthy, you have no limits. You just do whatever you want. It just, yeah. But so maybe one day I'd be wealthy. I don't know. But for me, the generational wealth is, in my mind, it's being able to work for yourself so that you're managing all of your investments, but your investments are the ones that are working to make you money. So if you buy a business, you can hire people. The business is making a profit after you pay everybody, and you're making a profit. And just check in every couple months, every once a month, whatever. Once a month, once every couple of weeks, you go check in with the business. You check in with your stocks, a few times during the week, or daily or whatever for 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then you're done for the day. Real estate, you're checking, driving by the house every once in a while, a rental, making sure if you have a property manager that they're doing their job. I mean, I know someone that's got a property in another state from where they live, and so they were saying that, yeah, it's really great. They have a house in Texas, but they live in Oregon. And the property management company, they once a month they send the rent and they send pictures. They take pictures of the outside of the house. They give them a report. I thought they said every once in a while they go in, they do the home inspection. Maybe it's like every 6 months or something to see what the inside's like, that kind of a thing. So that's good. Oh, there was somebody that I was talking with, and there was someone who had a mobile home on property, and they were renting it out. And I guess the property management company didn't do any inside inspections. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. So I guess this person was telling me that when the person had lived there for like 6, 7 years, I don't remember it. They lived there for a while. They left and they went inside, right? They make sure it was cleaned up and for their security deposit and all that. And they literally destroyed the mobile home was so badly damaged inside that they literally just have to tear down the mobile home and put a new one on the property. It must not have been in great shape when they rented. I mean, seriously, right? But can you imagine you've got this house and you're renting it, and they destroy your home? Like, I don't think insurance covers that. Like, I mean, I'm just being serious. Maybe it does. I don't know. But so, there's risks with everything. So you really got to make sure that you've got the proper thing, and you've got to have people there managing your business, is my point, right? And then you've got to manage them. but you should just be spending your days, just you go and, check in with certain people and certain things that are managing your stuff, and then you go live your life. I mean, isn't that what generation wealth is this whole thing with how rental properties and dividends and income coming in, is that, if you have grandkids, you go to their games. If their games at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you go. You're not, you don't have a boss that's saying, excuse me, but you can't get off work. Like, why should you be tied down working for someone else? Like, seriously. I mean, yeah, you got to do it till you build this stuff up. But once you build it up and then you are set, then you need to start passing this on for generations so that you can change it so that your brother, your sister, your daughter, your son, whoever it is, your grandkids, that they've got the same kind of life. I mean, think about it. Wouldn't that be so cool? Yeah, you're just like sitting there, and one day you're like, let's go to Vegas. Let's go to Florida. Let's go take off. Look, they're having a special. It's, $169 for the airline. Let's just take off and go, and we can get a cheap Airbnb. And, it's not about staying in rich, nice stuff. It's just being able to do the adventure and enjoy life and say, hey, man, I got an extra $600. Let's go down there. We'll eat simple, cheap, inexpensive food. You don't need anything super nice. Go and enjoy maybe 2 or 3 days, and you come back. You don't have to sit there and say, oh, I got to ask my boss for the time off, or, you don't want any of that. I mean, for me, I don't think I would want to be like, oh, let's go get the jet, or let's take off, let's go to Maui, I mean, yeah, I would go to Hawaii. I've been there, it was nice. But I'm just saying, it's about being able to take advantage of these things, that you see these airlines that are having last minute sales that are super cheap. And you're just like, let's just take off, let's go for the day, you spend $300, and you do that once a month. It's that whole thing of just that being able to do it and doing it and just being like, oh my gosh, there's this couple, and I remember I was so kind of jealous that they um had this really cool thing that they would turn around, and every once in a while, if they needed to go on a date or something, or I don't know, whatever their thing that they were doing, they would see, they're like, oh my gosh, look, $39 one way, each way to go to, Texas, or, Montana, whatever, right? And they'd be like, oh yeah, let's find a cheap Airbnb. Oh look, here's a camper that's for rent. And it's like, $60 for the night, or $29 for the night. And they go and they spend the night, they fly there, spend the night, go eat someplace and have their date night, and then they fly back the next morning. And it was like, they were like, yeah, it costs us, maybe 300 or 400 bucks, whatever. But you do that like once a month. Like, seriously, like, how cool is that? Like, that to me is living. That's the whole dream, right? This is because you want to, not because, you're just going to go do what you want. You want to go watch a baseball game, go do it. You want to go, whatever. I mean, go, maybe you want to, babysit for your kids, grandkids. Maybe you want to, go babysit and think of how much money you saved them and how great that was to spend time with your grandchildren. I mean, and that time growing up, maybe you want to go for a walk up in the mountains. Maybe you always go for these walks with this group. You get a group and you go for a walk, and they go and do the trails or whatever, and you go to different places, and you're able to do that. And then maybe you have an office and you go to work, but you do it when you want, right? And you don't do it because you have to. You don't do it because you got a meeting. You do it because, like, man, I'm going to go for my walk, and then when I'm done, whenever that is, I'll go do what I need to do. That's generational wealth to me. That's just my journey and my opinions on it. Anyway, I guess I've blabbered enough, right? Didn't really show too much of stuff, but it always does puzzle me at the beginning. I know I was talking about the life insurance, but it seems like I don't think I've ever asked anyone that has, medium income or substantial money what their thoughts were, and I'm sure it's got its purpose. I mean, but I just see a lot of people that are struggling that have it, and then, or people that are, um, I mean, if you're sitting there and you make your payments and then you really don't have much money, you're not maybe struggling, but you kind of are. Like, you don't have a lot of money left. And if you're in that situation, I just don't see how the life insurance is there for you. But maybe you have poor credit and you can't buy a house. I mean, in this day and age, you can almost buy a house with nothing down, even if you're going to rent it out. Seems like they have all these programs, and then now they were talking about doing instead of 30 years, doing a 50-year, which reduces the rate. I don't know, but I think if you don't have to work, right, you can live anywhere. And where I was living in the state that I was in, Washington State, you can't even apartments, were like $2,200 a month. I mean, seriously, like it's just crazy, right? For a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. I mean, even 2,700 in some areas. I mean, it's pretty bad. And rentals, like really up there. So I was like, well, where can I go that's even less, And I'm paying $1,900 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's a fairly new house. It's only a few years old. So to me, I'm like, I couldn't buy the house and pay $1,900. Like the mortgage it wouldn't work out. But I could turn around and buy a house in those expensive areas like Washington State, Bend, Oregon, and I think the Portland area too. But I think Bend, man, their real estate seems like they've got a lot of Airbnbs and they've got a lot of. I think it's because of the vacation stuff. I don't know about Vegas, but Vegas has grown. I mean, they are grown like crazy. A lot of the movie places from LA are going there. But it seems like there's so many different areas that you can buy that are good for the rental market, that you can actually buy the house and rent it probably for $400 a month more, $500 a month more than what your payments are, maybe more, who knows? And that seems so much smarter. And then rent in an area, because you're not tied to an area. Go rent some area. If it's something you don't really care about, you're paying 1,900 instead of 2,500, $600. Again, you could take off and go fly somewhere, go where you want to go, or do your vacationing every month, every couple months, whatever. You're still getting more enjoyment from your life than just sitting there being rent poor, or house poor. I mean, it just seems to me that there's just so much that you can still do these things. It's just, I think for me, for the journey that I'm on, and for, because none of this is financial advice, it's my opinion, it's me recording my journey. But I think it's more of doing something different with it and thinking outside the box. Like buying a house is where you build wealth, but don't buy the house for yourself. Buy it for the investment to build the wealth. If you own your house outright, it's not financial advice, but seriously, if you own your house outright and you don't have other investments, like sell the house, like go get a rental. If you can't afford that area, go to an area you can afford to rent, and then take that money and go and buy a couple houses, buy one or two houses, rent them out. Go buy one house, rent it out, put the rest in the stock markets, get dividends. I mean, you're going to be, so much better off financially. That that's what it's about, because then you get to go and enjoy and do things that you wouldn't be able to do if you're sitting there and you're going, well, my house is paid for, but I have a job and I'm kind of stuck and I can't go do this, but maybe I could do that in 3 weeks because I can clear my schedule or something. Like, how is that? That's not living. I mean, living is being able to, if you've got that wealth, use it and let that wealth work for you. That's generational wealth, in my opinion. And this is just all my journey and my opinions, and not any kind of advice. And I appreciate you listening to me. And I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Enjoy. Thanks.